This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome to Pulse of Africa News. I am Samia Mohammed with the latest. First, our top stories for today. Ivory Coast marks 65th independence anniversary with military parade. Senegal and Turkey deepen cooperation in key sectors. Trump claims to have reached historic peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now, the news in detail. Ivory Coast marks 65th independence anniversary with military parade. President Alassane Ouattara appeared in a military vehicle at the start of the parade. French, Armenian, and Moroccan military personnel participated in this event, signaling the Ivory Coast's continued military cooperation with Western powers. Ivory Coast gained independence from France in 1960, but today the country is one of France's last remaining allies in French-speaking West Africa. France completed its withdrawal from Senegal last month, ending its permanent military presence in West Africa, though France also closed its last base in the Ivory Coast in February. Ouattara has long been seen as close ally of Paris. Senegal and Turkey deepen cooperation in key sectors. Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko met with Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara on Thursday. Erdogan welcomed Sonko during his visit to the Turkish capital, and the pair held bilateral talks. Sonko also met with the Speaker of Turkey's Parliament, Numan Kurtulmuş, on Thursday. The two countries signed 4 agreements covering the fields of defense, media, and education. The visit aims to deepen cooperation between the two nations, according to the Turkey's head of communication. Erdogan himself has made 2 visits to Senegal in 2018 and in 2020. Helped in part by its flag carrier Turkish Airlines, Ankara has accelerated ties with African countries in recent years. Moroccan forecasters warn of intense heat wave with thunderstorms. Morocco's weather office has issued a new warning for intense heat in several provinces over the coming days. Forecasters say people can expect a sharp rise in temperatures through to Sunday, increased to as much as 47 degrees Celsius. Along with this, the weather office says there will be violent local thunderstorms in the mountainous and Saharan regions, accompanied by gusts of wind and hail. It warns that brief but intense rain could see as much as 30 millimeters dumped on a region over a short period of time, which could cause flooding. The authorities are urging Moroccans to avoid going outside during the hottest hours of the day, to drink lots of water and avoid physical exertion. Coastal residents have recently been enjoying cooler weather with temperatures of between 26 and 30 degrees Celsius. Guinea-Bissau's president appointed a new prime minister. Guinea-Bissau's President Umaru Sissoco Embalo appointed a new prime minister on Thursday, 3 months before presidential and legislative elections and several months after Embalo's opponents say his mandate expired. The president of Guinea-Bissau on Thursday sacked the West African country's prime minister and appointed his successor, the latest move to position President Umaru Sissoco Embalo for the likely second term after elections due in November. According to the presidential decree, Rio Duarte de Barros, who served as prime minister since December 2023, was replaced by Barima Camara, a former coordinator of the Mandem G15 opposition party. In other news, Japan's population decline keeps getting worse. Last year, it saw a record drop. Japan's quick population decline shows no sign of slowing, with the nation shrinking by more than 900,000 people last year, the biggest annual drop on record according to the government data. The data released by the Minister of Internal Affairs and Communication on Wednesday showed that the number of Japanese nationals fell by 908,574 in 2024, bringing the total population to 120 million. Since peaking at 126.6 million in 2009, the population has declined for 16 consecutive years, diminished by various factors like a struggling economy and deep-seated gender norms. With the population of Japanese nationals set to continue plummeting for decades yet, the country will feel the blow to its pension and healthcare systems and other social infrastructure that is difficult to maintain with a shrinking workforce. Trump claims to have reached historic peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan are expected to sign a peace deal Friday at the White House that could potentially put an end to decades of conflict, President Donald Trump said. Trump said Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev would also be signing agreements with the U.S. to pursue economic opportunities together so we can fully unlock the potential of South Caucasus region. The prospective agreement could potentially put an end to decades of conflicts and set the stage for reopening of key transportation corridors across the South Caucasus that have been shut since the early 1990s.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel, all the time. Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Now to business news. Afrexim Bank signs US $1.35 billion to refinance Dangote refinery construction. The facility is part of a larger approximately $4 billion syndicated financing arrangement for Dangote Industries Limited, Africa's largest industrial conglomerate. Afrexim Bank acted as the mandate's lead arranger for the syndication. The financing, one of the largest syndicated loans in recent African financial markets, will refinance capital expended on constructing the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Pharmaceuticals Complex, the biggest single-train refinery in the world with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. The financing alleviates initial operation expenditures and enhances Dangote Industries Limited balance sheet, supporting its continued growth trajectory. Afrexim Bank contributed $1.35 billion, the largest share among participating banks, underscoring its commitment to large-scale infrastructure that advances Africa's industrialization, energy security, and intra-African trade. Finally, Ramaphosa and Trump agreed to further trade talks amid U.S. tariffs. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa held a telephone conversation with U.S. President Donald Trump, focusing on bilateral trade issues and ongoing negotiation. Despite recent setbacks over high tariffs, both leaders committed to continuing discussions through to their trade teams. The call comes against the backdrop of 30% U.S. tariff imposed on South African imports, which has triggered serious economic concerns at home. To mitigate the fallout, Pretoria has launched an export support desk and is crafting support package aimed especially at the automotive and agriculture sectors, which together may risk tens of thousands of jobs. Meanwhile, the South African rand showed resilience, gaining ground thanks to rising gold prices and weaker U.S. dollar, with the local currency trading around 17.69 to the dollar. While South Africa grapples with sweeping U.S. tariffs, the phone call between Ramaphosa and Trump signals a willingness on both sides to sustain dialogue. Before concluding, let us provide you with the latest updates on global commodities prices. Now to weather updates. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Pulse of Africa.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.